and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was a running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this jaw. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was a running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator. All right. Welcome back to the show. I got the same song in here. I got to change it, but I still like this one. Maybe a reason I ain't changed it. You know what I mean? All right. Today, we're going to talk more about Lane Kiffin. We're going to talk more about the college football playoff. Bit of expansion talk. There's a lot of expansion talk, actually. This college football playoff seems to be an ATM machine. Talk about that. We got some games coming up this weekend in college football that we'll certainly preview. Again, it's Wacky Wednesday. We got to find stuff to talk about. This is the part of the week where football headlines from the previous week come to die. So we have to get hella creative with what we come with on a Wacky Wednesday. So we're going to try to keep it a good show for you guys today. Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and a few others. Alabama lost this week in Oklahoma. What are the implications behind that? We will talk about that. Quarterback development. This has been a topic on the street ever since college football's changed the way it does. So we'll maybe talk a little bit about that. Talk about the Raiders a little bit. Talk about the state of the Bengals, as we always do. We always, any topic, especially in pro football, we're going to make it about the Bengals somehow. You dig? So that's where we're at with it today, man. It's a rainy day here in Phoenix, Arizona. It feels like I'm back home in Kentucky, taking walks out in the rain and stuff like that. It's muddy. All my, they get bloody. Okay, so anyways, yeah, man, you got jiu-jitsu. We got plenty of time today. That's what's going to be nice about this. I've been feeling a bit rushed the last couple days, Monday, Tuesday on these episodes. So today we'll have a nice full one. It makes total sense that our first episode where we got a little bit of room to breathe this week is on Wacky Wednesday, when all the headlines have already died out. You know what I'm saying? Wednesday is when NFL and college football headlines come to die. So when you have a daily show like ours, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. By the way, if you're brand new in here, appreciate you guys watching. But guess what, man? I need you guys to sub. It's free. You're not going to get any emails on there, and you'll be a part of the fastest growing football community on YouTube. You heard me? So hit that subscribe button for me, and I appreciate it. And if you don't let the dough hit your ass on the way out. You know what I'm saying? At least hit that like button. Okay, so we got more talk about college football. I talked about Lane Kiffin basically the entire episode yesterday, and it's clear to me after doing more research that even after Lane going on Pat McAfee, saying he went to hot yoga with the Ole Miss AD, saying that the rumors of ultimatums are true, it's apparent that a lot of folks, especially with sources on the inside, do not believe what Lane Kiffin is saying. And I think that there's a lot of residual distrust from the way Lane handled his time at Tennessee still to this day. I had an appointment yesterday with a fella from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I brought up the Lane Kiffin stuff, and he said, "Oh yeah, he's lying. That boy lying. He definitely got him an ultimatum. He definitely got him a decision to make," and a lot of people on the inside seem to think the same thing. Lane Kiffin apparently shopping around between Florida, LSU, and staying at Ole Miss, but reports suggest there's no official decision yet, despite the hype. I would be absolutely shocked, bamboozled, along with every other human being in the greater Oxford, Mississippi area, if Lane Kiffin, number one, if he actually leaves, and number two, even more so, if he makes his decision during this historic Ole Miss season. I cannot fathom that. But if there's anybody who has a track record of doing these kind of things, it is Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss AD Keith Carter has reportedly given Lane an ultimatum: answer by early next week or it gets toxic heading into the Egg Bowl. Why would we do this if we're the Ole Miss Rebels? I understand it's a serious matter. I understand you're having the best football season in program history, arguably, over there at Ole Miss. I understand the respect angle. I understand why the school, having the season they're having, would want to make sure that their future is secured with their football program. But you are at risk of blowing up arguably the greatest season in program history before you can even finish it. I have no clue why, for any reason, things need to get toxic when the only loss you have all year is the Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs. Ole Miss has got every chance in the book to go and win a national championship this year. Why would we let it get toxic before the season's even over? I don't understand this ultimatum talk. I don't understand. Like, if this is real, yesterday I came on the show and I said this ultimatum talk is not real. Lane Kiffin went on McAfee and said it wasn't real, so therefore it's not real. But I've seen a lot of spins in the media since yesterday's show that he's lying and that there is an ultimatum and that there's too many reports from trusted sources talking about this ultimatum, and people are saying that Lane is lying. It's really, I mean, we'll see it play out in the next couple of weeks, apparently before the Egg Bowl. And if nothing happens before the Egg Bowl, then guess what? On yesterday's show, we were right. And it's as easy as that. And you got, dude, this shit is so crazy. We talked about this yesterday. You got people who, the SEC football fans, you know, Harvey Updike type SEC football fans. You guys remember Harvey Updike? Real ball knowers will remember Harvey Updike, the guy that was an Alabama Crimson Tide fan and went and poisoned, what was that tree in Toomer's Lane in Auburn, because he hated Auburn so much. You got SEC fans like that tracking private flights, going to the airport because they have a suspicion that Lane Kiffin's going to be flying in there. And then you see people one day, you see Lane Kiffin's family or his ex-wife in Gainesville, and then the same day you're purportedly seeing Lane Kiffin's family flying into Baton Rouge. I asked this on the show yesterday. How would he manage this in season? How would he manage this? I do think Ole Miss is off this week, so maybe that's how. I do think Ole Miss is off. and then they got Mississippi State the week after next week, right? So maybe the only way Lane Kiffin's managing all of this is because it's an off week. But even so, in college football, you still practice on your off week. In fact, the off week is one of the toughest. It depends on how the season's going, right? Their season's going well. So Lane might have given the guys a couple of days off this week because they're playing so well and because they have a bye week. Does Ole Miss have a bye week? I'm going to confirm that. Ole Miss bye week. I guarantee it's this week. I just want to confirm the facts here with my slow-ass computer. This one right here, you guys see this one? It is slow as fucking molasses. Excuse my language. Ole Miss is on a bye week, week 13. Yep, so they are off this week. So you would think the way that Ole Miss is playing, that Lane maybe gave them a day off, a day or two off. Now, he does come from the Saban coaching tree. I can't imagine Nick Saban, no matter how well any of his teams were playing, I can't imagine Nick Saban or any of his disciples giving their teams, regardless of performance, more than a day off on a bye week. In fact, I remember our bye weeks when I was in college. Those were some of the most brutal, bone-crushing, lathered-up type of practices, especially for walk-on scout guys like me, that I can remember. Especially the Tuesday of bye week. There's nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. If you get fucking the wind knocked out of you, if you get banged up on a Tuesday on a bye week, hey, put some dirt on it, put a Band-Aid on it, and you'll be back ready to play by the following Saturday. Because you got all that time. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 days until your next game. So maybe, my point in all this is maybe Lane is managing to sneak around like this from Gainesville to Baton Rouge because it's the off week. But again, I can't. Maybe he knocked out all these trips. Maybe he went to both spots in one day. Gave these kids an off day and went to Gainesville and Baton Rouge on this off day, and this is why these crazy-ass SEC fans are able to track the flight, show up to the freaking airport, hang out outside the gates, outside of the freaking runway, and sit there with their cameras like snipers trying to get some type of TMZ paparazzi photo. It's crazy. No one else in the SEC, no one else in college football except the SEC has fans that behave like this. It's pretty cool. You gotta give credit where credit's due. It's pretty cool, but it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely crazy. So people see the family in Gainesville. This is what my outline says. People see the family in Gainesville one day equals it's done. He's going to Florida. And then the same family in Baton Rouge the next day, done. He's going to LSU. But what you don't see is that they're scouting both simultaneously. So if my outline is what I think it is, that would imply that Lane visited Gainesville and Baton Rouge on separate days, which would mean he would have had to give his team multiple off days this week on Ole Miss's bye week. I don't see that being the case. Maybe he sent a lot of times head coaches in situations like this, they'll send their wife on their behalf, or they'll send their financial guy on their behalf. We heard about Lincoln Riley doing that on a Zoom call with LSU last week. Poor Lincoln Riley, man. He's not built to be a head coach. And the fact that James Franklin, who had Penn State in the college football playoff not 11 months ago from the day, took a job at Virginia Tech, and it's not even the main headline in the news cycle on a dead-ass Wednesday in the middle of the week, is insane to me. And it goes to show just how psycho this college football coaching carousel has gotten. The fact that James Franklin has already been fired, accepted another job in the ACC is mind-numbing to me. The guy comes out to enter Sandman as his intro as the head coach of the Hokies. It's not even the main headline on Wacky Wednesday. That's how insane this coaching cycle's gotten, man. So if you're Ole Miss, would you blow this up instead of tolerating Lane's negotiations? I think if anybody in charge over there at Ole Miss is worth a good goddamn, they'll know what they've got going for them this football season. They'll know that you don't come by seasons like this very often when you get into the upper echelons of football. They will not blow it up. They will allow Lane to negotiate. They will acknowledge all the good work he's done there, toiling, building that program from what it was when he accepted the job in Oxford. And they will not touch it. I mean, I want Ole Miss to do well. I feel like an honorary Ole Miss alum sometimes. I'm not. I had many good times in Oxford. I love Oxford, and I want to see that program do well. Everybody else in my family graduated from Ole Miss, and I want to see that program do well. And so, if you're Ole Miss, you cannot blow this up because of ego or respect. You have to look, it's like, I don't want to compare it to a romantic relationship, because if my lady came to me, I don't have a lady, but if I had a lady and she came to me and we were in a committed relationship and we had spent years and years building something really beautiful and we were in the prime of our relationship, I guess that's different, man. I don't even know if that's something I could compare it to. Because obviously, if a woman comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to see if I can get in Joe Burrow's DMs," I'm gonna be like, "Well, that's a hell of a choice, baby. We'll talk to you in a little bit." That's a hell of a choice. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out with your fine ass. Yeah, I can't. I don't think I could really compare the Ole Miss coaching search to a romantic relationship with a woman, because obviously, if you have a woman that's asking you if she can test the waters with other options, you're gonna kick that girl out pretty fast. And I don't think Ole Miss should operate the same way. I think they should give Lane Kiffin some patience. If they blow it up for some reason because of respect or negotiations or whatever, then the people running the ship at Ole Miss will be making a pretty bad decision. So the question is, how much of Lane's theatrics, and this guy's a professional troll, by the way, Lane Kiffin. He's one of the best trolls in the game. So when he goes on McAfee yesterday and he's saying these things, he's talking about the good old days at Ole Miss. We're in the good old days. How much of this is trolling? How much of this, because he loves to fuck with people, how much of it is trolling? And which parts of it are trolling? We will not know. So how much of his theatrics is genius gamesmanship, leveraging his success to make himself more money for his family, versus just being disrespectful to the program? I think he knows better than... Look, nobody's trying to be disrespectful to anybody. Lane has no reason to intentionally disrespect the program. In fact, I don't even know why my AI assistant put this on the outline. It's a stupid question. Anybody in business, look, if you're working a corporate job, then you're in insurance, you're an insurance salesman, and you smash your goal for the year, you smash your sales quota for the year, And then another company sees that, another insurance company sees that. And they come, let's say you're making a base salary. Let's say you're getting 7% commish right now. Let's keep it sales, right? You're getting 7% commish with your current insurance company, and you smashed your goal. Another company hears about it, and they come to you and they say, let's say they send you a LinkedIn message. And they say, hey, Clark, we're going to offer you 15% commission because you've done so well with your company, and we feel like this current company of yours ain't taking care of you like they should. First thing I'm going to do, man, is screenshot that LinkedIn message, and I'm going to send it to my I'm going to send it to my manager, whoever's responsible for getting me a raise. And I'm going to say, look, I love you guys. I care about you guys. I'm loyal to you guys. You guys have made me who I am at this point in my career. I want you guys to know that they are offering me this, and I'm giving you the chance to offer me that as well, or maybe in excess of that, maybe a point in excess of 15%. Why would you not do that? Every single employee in corporate America would and should do that. It's no different here with Lane Kiffin. It's reported Florida offered him $82 million. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'd be hard-pressed to not be having that conversation with the athletic director at Ole Miss. Look, I know we've had a good time here. I know we've built this thing up. These are what what schools are paying me. It's been leaked in the media. Okay? I want to stay here. But just help put me over the top here. Maybe you don't even have to pay me that much. Maybe it could be like 70 or 75, and I'll take it because I don't want to have to move all my shit up out of my house. I don't want my son to have to transfer high schools. So it's very complex. We don't know what conversations are going on behind closed doors, or we never will. Some of them will never know what kind of conversations are going down. Question, hot take, tangent starter. Is this the most toxic coaching cycle ever? Or has it always been this chaotic and we're just seeing it in real time? You got message boards, you got flight tracking, you got FBI level investigation energy. Good or bad for college football? Look, when we opened up this NIL Pandora's box, it's easy to say now that we've watched it kind of play out, but I think it goes without saying now that college football is professional football, number one. And we see how cutthroat things are or can be in the NFL. Except the NFL has got all these guardrails in place. They've got the players' union. That's the main thing. They've got, and with the players' union, all the other regulations trickle down, like agents have to be registered and certified, financial advisors have to be registered and certified, and that's legal stuff. There's no players union in college football. There's nothing legally mandating these kind of guardrails in college football. So what you're seeing with this coaching carousel right now is the effect of something that has been happening in pro football for decades and decades and decades, except in pro football, you've got a players union that legally puts guardrails in place. You do not have this in college athletics. And the only way you're going to have guardrails in college athletics is if Congress and these good-for-nothing politicians actually take it serious, which they seem to not be. So the coaching carousel that you're seeing, toxic or not toxic, is all a trickle-down effect from turning college football into pro football junior, but without the guardrails. So it's even more Wild West. It's even more cutthroat. And I think the first leading indicator as a result of this cause effect is the coaching carousel and the coaching cycle. Okay, college football playoff expansion. This is a money grab disguised as service to the fans. These folks know, these folks in college football that are making these decisions, they know that this playoff is an ATM for them. If they can create a 24-team playoff as opposed to a 12-team playoff, think how much more revenue they can get from it. And the best part for them is that they can disguise it as, oh, well, the fans want more games. I don't think he knows the game. Elliot Hayes. They're disguising a money printing operation as, look, this will be better for the fans. Big Ten just pitched a 24-team playoff format in Charlotte. SEC wants 16. It's not about the fans. It's an ATM machine. They said the 12-team was what fans wanted in the previous expansion, and now they're using that same excuse while secretly just chasing more money. It's like Hollywood producers making a hit movie with no cliffhanger at the end, with no nothing, no prior story set up, nothing. They just maybe unknowingly create a banger in Hollywood of a movie, and then they say, oh, fuck, it's doing numbers they never dreamed it'd be doing, and they're saying, oh, fuck, man, oh, shit, we got to make a sequel to this. Pull this writer, pull these writers in the room, let's throw something together here in a couple hours. We got to make a sequel. We got to ride this wave. We got to print more money. That's what the College Football Playoff Committee's doing, saying they want 24 teams. You're trying to get something for nothing is pretty much what you're doing. Trying to force that sequel. Did anyone think Anchorman 2 was good? Did anyone think it was good? No, because it was forced. It was a money grab. That's what the college football folks are doing right now with this playoff. The real problem isn't the size of the playoff. It's the calendar. How can you expect to fit all these games in? The coaching searches are going to be overlapping the regular season. You're seeing it overlap right now. It might overlap with Lane Kiffin. It might overlap with a couple of different coaches. Like I said, we've said this a couple episodes in a row. You might find some coaches that you wouldn't expect, coaches in stable situations and with programs in good standing, might be on the move to take better jobs. And that's going to overlap with the playoff. It's already overlapping. And we only have a 12-team playoff right now. They're talking about expanding it to 24. That would definitely eliminate which team didn't get in, should have got in, but I bet it won't. It'll probably eliminate it, but it probably won't. So if you're going to do this, if you're trying to expand a college football playoff to 24 teams, here's what you got to do. You got to move National Signing Day to February. You got to make sure that the portal window is post-playoff. And nobody in college football seems to have the initiative of a goddamn koala bear these days, man. They won't make these changes, but they're gonna talk about stuff that maybe matters less, like expanding the playoff. They'll expand the playoff, but then they won't put guardrails in place to make sure that it all works out okay, because they got the initiative of a goddamn sloth. These people in college football, they are good for nothing, most of them. Hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong about all of this. But what you should do if you make this playoff expansion decision, you should move national signing day to February. You should move the portal window to post-playoff. You got to restructure the academic calendar too. The effects of something like this reverberate through a couple of channels. You got to change the academic calendar so coaches aren't distracted during the stretch run, because inevitably there's going to be coaching changes. And then there's something I'm seeing in my outline here about the playoff committee or college football or the NCAA wanting to expand the playoff to Brazil. What a nightmare, dude. We got to be really careful with this college football shit, or else the sport we love at this level is going to fade fast. It's not going to, the momentum and the velocity with which it's moving is not going to be able to sustain itself if we don't put some guardrails in place. I think this offseason is the offseason to do it. But it doesn't seem like we have many competent people up at the top. It seems like we've got people up at the top deciding on these matters that are only in the position they've been in based on how long they've been around, not the merit. And people that have been around a long time, especially in the boomer generation, the most toxic generation in the history of humanity, will be averse to any kind of change, even though change is occurring all around us. And they're going to drag their feet. They're going to make either no decision or the wrong decision. And then college football, as we know it, will be dissipated, and we'll all be disappointed. We'll all be sad, and it'll happen right before our eyes, before we even know it's happening. So we've got to be careful, man. If you ran, let's see the hot takes, tangent starters for today. What is this freaking thumb floating over me? If you ran college football, would you go backwards from 12 to 8, or are we stuck forward forever? This is a question of whether the genie stays out of the bottle or not. I think you could go backwards. I think you get pushback if you went backwards, but I don't see anything keeping you from reducing the playoff to 8. I think everybody understands that we're in a time of change with college football, and whatever you got to do to maintain the integrity of the game, this level of the game that we all love. College football for years has gotten the rap in America for being the best sport at the best level, with the passion of amateurship now fading, but it's been there for many years. Naylor's in the chat. Shout out Naylor, fellow Bengals fan. Who are we firing, Duke Tobin or Zach Taylor? I would have to say that Zach will go first, because Duke has the family ties, and the Brown family are the biggest homers you've ever found. But I think Duke needs to go. I think Duke Tobin is the problem, way more so than Zach. Houday. Okay. So yeah, I think you go backwards with the playoff. If you felt, if the folks in charge felt like an 8-team playoff would be better than a 12-team playoff, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. Now, you might get some pushback from, SMU, James Madison type programs. But, I don't see why you couldn't move backwards with the playoff. Which is worse, a mediocre team sneaking into a 24-team playoff, or coaches recruiting during game weeks? Coaches recruiting during game weeks would be way worse than a mediocre team sneaking into a 2014 playoff. The thing with a 2014 playoff is you could basically invite the entire SEC. Look, guys, if we want the highest quality college football playoff this year, just invite the SEC. Leave all the other teams out. Just invite the SEC. These commissioners are comparing themselves to NFL guys like their peers. But would the NFL ever let this happen? you know, the thing is that we've always been pretty clear on what the NFL is. The NFL has always been pretty clear on what the NFL is. You have guys playing football at a professional level for compensation. We've always known this about the NFL. College football, on the other hand, has changed dramatically. And the main thing, the one word that comes to mind when you're thinking about success as an organization, whether it's college football as a whole, whether it's the NFL as a whole, down to a single team, a single program, is intention. What is the intention? You have to begin with the end in mind. And I don't think anybody who was around when college football was becoming the big thing in America could have ever foreseen what is going on in college football today. So it's kind of tough for me to say, well, the NFL would have never let this happen, because if the NFL started as one thing and ended as another thing, it would be really hard for anyone to not let that happen. What's going on in college football? Just all the change. There's so much change going on with college football. And then you don't have any politicians taking this serious to sign anything into law to put guardrails around this change and this growth. So I can't really look. Are there incompetent people leading these matters in college football? Absolutely. But there's incompetent ass people in Congress. I always say these politicians that go and serve in Congress, serve is a strong word, by the way. You think these politicians would be good at any other job? Why are they politicians? Because they so desperately want to be liked when no one really likes them. So they like the rush of the fakeness of, you know, shaking a hand with a smile and getting fake praise. That's why these politicians are politicians. They're not politicians. Maybe some of them go in to politics because they say, oh, I want to change the world. I want to, you know, I want to make positive change. They might earnestly go into politics feeling that way. But the powers that be, the system, the lobbies, the folks lining the politicians' pockets, eventually the politicians are going to have to serve those folks and not the people. Yeah. Naylor says my boss is dumb as fuck. Why, dude? What's going on? Let's have a little talk, huh? Let's have a little talk in the chat. Dude, so when I get a thumbs up on the screen like that, does that mean someone liked it? Liked the video? Sometimes I'll do like balloons. It pisses me off because it's all colorful. It makes me look like a damn pride parade on this football podcast. You know what I'm saying? Okay, this week, let's do some college football picks. How about that? You got Missouri versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma looks to be favored by 7.5. I hope that's right. Sometimes my outline gets it messed up. Missouri's losses are Alabama, Vandy, Texas A&M. All playoff teams, arguably. I think Vandy might get snipped when they don't deserve to, kind of like Ole Miss did last year. It's really hard for me. It would be really hard to see Vandy get sniped out of the playoff, but they might be in a position where it's out of their hands. So Missouri, they've only lost to those three teams. Good teams. They got that former Penn State quarterback that they all wanted to keep there in Happy Valley. They've got one of the best running backs in the country. His name's Ahmad something. Apparently a great player. They got The sixth best running game in the country, about 300 yards a game currently. This game's going to be a banger, and I'm going to listen to the radio broadcast of it because that's my new thing. This is something I did my entire childhood. I listened to the AM radio broadcast. I'd listen to Tom Leach, the voice of the Kentucky Wildcats, on 630 WLAP AM radio in Lexington. Some of my fondest memories are listening to Tom Leach calls, "Touchdown, Kentucky!" I had a voice crack. You ever scream too loud and it gets like a hiccup in your lower region? I'm trying to keep this goddamn wire stationary here because I'm hearing it pick up on the audio. This is why you guys need to subscribe to the channel, because I don't have a goddamn producer. I don't have anybody in here making sure I stay on my P's and Q's or the camera working or all this stuff. So if you're in here and you're not subscribed to the channel, you might watch the show and think you're subscribed, but a lot of times you're not. And it helps this channel out a lot because I got to generate some revenue off of here so that I can pay a team to make sure that my wire's not brushing my balls while I'm talking, my mic wire picking up on the damn audio thing. So I appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button. Bare minimum, hit that like button. And if you don't do either, don't let the dough hit your ass on the way out. We're coming to a close here soon. I do have to jet to jiu-jitsu here in a minute. This will be a fun one. Two former Big 12 teams, Oklahoma and Mizzou. From a Southerner's perspective, I'm not going to tell you that the Oklahoma versus Missouri game gets me the most fired up. But in terms of the types of teams they got right now, it's a very intriguing matchup. Oklahoma coming off a gutsy win on the road at Alabama where they forced 3 turnovers, I believe. And Mizzou, with only 3 losses, losing to Vandy, A&M, and Alabama, is a very solid team in their own right. So you got a former Big 12 matchup here. And Oklahoma's strength, look, Missouri's strength is their run game. And Oklahoma's strength is their run defense. So this is the inverse of last week, talking about Oklahoma at Bama. Bama threw for 300-plus yards even when the run was contained. Missouri has to run to win. If Oklahoma shuts it down, Missouri is not going to win. And Oklahoma's offense has been somewhat too significantly limited since John Mateer's injury. And they're also dealing with some injuries in the running back room. So the game's going to be decided by who can flip the field. Thank you, Naylor. I really appreciate it, brother. Who can flip the field? Who can make plays on special teams? Who can pin the ball deep? Who could create turnovers? What happened in the Oklahoma-Bama game that gave Oklahoma such an advantage was that when Oklahoma forced turnovers, it was on a short field. Go and look. I can't give numbers off the top of my head right now, but I was listening to the radio broadcast driving through the hills of California, and Oklahoma, I think all of their scores against Alabama they had 1 defensive touchdown. They had a pick 6, but I think the other they scored 23, so 23 minus 7. The other 16 points came on short fields. Like Alabama's defense played really well. They just lost the turnover battle. So this Oklahoma-Mizzou game is going to come down to who can flip the field most effectively, who can pin the other squad deep with good punts, good punt coverage, not any blunders on kickoff, and force a couple turnovers, poke the ball out, maybe get an interception or 2. That's what's going to happen with this Oklahoma-Missouri game. Texas versus Arkansas. Texas is going to win that one. Give me Mizzou to beat Oklahoma, by the way. Texas versus Arkansas. Texas will beat the shit out of them. Texas is a 3-loss team, preseason number 1. Sarkisian's quoted response addresses underachievement, but actually lobbies for a playoff committee sympathy. And this is going to be the interesting thing. Teams like Texas, teams like Vanderbilt, teams in the SEC that are definitely better than a lot of teams that will get into the playoff for sure, might not get into the playoff because the committee clearly fears coming across as SEC biased. Again, this is peak dysfunction at the top. When you're worried about what people think about you as opposed to just doing the right thing and putting every SEC team in the playoff, that's when you lose. Texas deserves to be in the playoff. Vandy deserves to be in the playoff, but will they get in? Only time will tell. There's just not much more worth previewing for this Texas-Arkansas game. Texas is going to beat them pretty good. You got interim head coach Bobby Petrino over there at Arkansas. He's not going to get the job permanently, but it's funny to see Bobby Petrino's path through the years. I remember when he was Michael Vick's head coach in Atlanta back in like 2009, and he leaves overnight. Okay. Bama's still in the playoff picture. I do have to run, guys. We're at 45 minutes. And I thought I wasn't going to have much to talk about today. We're still rolling. I could probably still keep going for another 30 minutes, but I can't. But Alabama still very much in control of their own destiny after losing to Oklahoma. The radio broadcaster said it best. The Alabama local broadcast, by the way, is golden. These guys are so hard on the Tide, and they all got this Southern accent. You know, oh man, I'm not really getting it. I can't do. It's like a very unique thing, like a Tuscaloosa, Birmingham accent. You know, that's more Georgia though. You know, when you're down there in Georgia, I can do a Georgia accent. I can do a South Carolina accent. But then you get this Bama accent. It's kind of like you got the Bama bangs, and you're wearing like Field and Stream, and you're talking about Homewood, Alabama. Home. Yeah, I was down there in Homewood. I was down there. Ha ha, Quentin Dix. I can't do it, man. And I lived there for 4 years. Yeah, Alabama, they'll still be in the playoff, but the picture is a bit more murky after they lose to Oklahoma. They could afford a loss like that, I guess is my point. They've had issues running the ball, O-line issues Alabama's had. And they gave the ball away a lot. They put the ball on the ground 5 times against Oklahoma. They didn't lose all of them, but they lost a few of them. Oklahoma was able to flip the field, and that was the difference in the game against Bama. Bama outgained them 412 to like 200 something, and they still lost the game because turnovers flip the field. That is the major impact when you force turnovers and when you play special teams. These are the parts of the game that not enough people focus on. Is it fair that Alabama gets credit for a brutal schedule, or should a loss be a loss? You got to go with brutal schedule, man. Losses have to be way different based on the competition you're playing. If I'm in the Big Ten and I'm playing Northwestern and Maryland week in, week out, like that, those losses mean a lot more to me than if you lose to Oklahoma. It's just what it is, guys. I'd love to segue into a better way to close out the show. There's so much more we have to talk about too. Like, man, that's the thing about having a daily show. I could tell you that, hey, we'll talk about we'll finish all this up tomorrow, but there's going to be more shit to talk about tomorrow, so we probably won't even ever touch on it ever again. There might be some recurring topics, but I got to go to jiu-jitsu, guys, and it's been a fun little show. We've had about 49 minutes of fun, and I got to go train. It's just what it is. Maybe should go live earlier. We could probably do an hour and a half a day if we wanted, but we just don't have the time. We probably could do 2 hours a day, man. I mean, shit. It's crazy.
It's crazy. There's always stuff going on in football. Hey, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You might think you're subscribed and you're not. Guys like Naylor, we got to get back on the Madden streams. I agree, brother. I got my evenings back. You know, I was coaching Pop Warner. We were 10-0. We go to San Diego, California this past weekend to play regionals. Driving rain. And we get our ass kicked. We had a couple big plays broken off on us. A couple turnovers, pick six. And we lose and our season's over. But what that means for you guys is that I have a lot more of my evenings back, which means we will be getting on Madden a lot more. Okay? So, if you're watching this and you're not subbed, you got this show every day. And my file cut out here for my song, so that kind of takes away the effect of it. But you got this show right here every day. You got Madden streams. You got daily clips. There's no reason to not subscribe to this show because the algorithm wouldn't have brought you here if you didn't like football. And if you like football, you're going to love our channel. So hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys maybe tonight. You never know unless you sub. Thank you, guys.